My name's Brady Williams, and I have 5 wives and 24 children.
Hello, and welcome to Happily Ever Reality. I am so glad you're here.
I like marriage, and I'm a repeat offender, so.
Today we are talking about 2 of TLC's polygamist husbands. We're talking about Brady Williams and Kody Brown. I am sure that almost all of you here at this channel already know who Kody Brown is. He is the husband on the Sister Wives show. But did you guys know that there was another polygamist husband and set of sister wives on TLC that also had their very own show? It was a man named Brady Williams and his 5 wives, and this show was called My 5 Wives. Now, some of you might be wondering why there were ever 2 shows. Wasn't one enough? But here is the thing that you need to know. Around this time, people were really fascinated by polygamy, and we still are. But around like the 2008, 9, 10, 11, those years, it seemed like we were a little bit more fascinated because we were just seeing a lot of stuff about polygamy on the news. We saw hundreds of children taken from polygamous families. We saw the raid on the Yearning for Zion compound in 2008. We had the Warren Jeffs arrest and conviction that was all national news. And HBO was also airing a show called Big Love that ran from 2006 to 2011, and it was very popular. And Sister Wives with Kody Brown and Christine, Janelle, Mary, and Robin had came on in 2010. And the show was doing really well, so it definitely felt like there was room for 2 polygamy-focused shows on TLC. But in the end, only one family made it. But today, we are going to do a side-by-side comparison of these men and their families at the time that their shows first aired, and a little update on where they are now. Let's just start out with talking about when the shows aired. Sister Wives first aired on October 17th, 2010, and we met 41-year-old Kody Brown. My 5 Wives first aired on March 9th, 2014, and that is when we met 43-year-old Brady Williams. So the shows first aired 4 years apart, but both men were about the same age. They were in their early 40s when the shows began. So how many wives did Kody and Brady have when the show first aired? Well, Kody had 3 wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine. He was dating Robin, but she wasn't technically a wife yet. Brady, on the other hand, had 5 wives, Polly, Robin, Rosemary, Noni, and Rhonda. At the time, Kody had 12 children and was expecting one more child with Christine. Of course, we all know that was Truly. Brady, on the other hand, already had 24 children with his 5 wives. One thing that's interesting about them is that Kody and Brady didn't grow up as polygamists. Their parents converted when they were older. So Kody's dad became a polygamist when Kody was 20. Brady's parents converted to fundamentalist Mormonism when he was 16. So both of them had to adjust to polygamy when they were older. And then once they did, they both decided to enter into polygamous marriages. But, they didn't really grow up seeing polygamy work in their own families. The same cannot be said about the wives. 2 of Kody's wives grew up in polygamous families. Mary and Christine both had fathers that had multiple wives, so their mothers were sister wives. They had seen polygamy in action. Janelle, on the other hand, did not grow up in a family that had any polygamy, and she said during the first episode of Sister Wives, she actually didn't know much about it at all. So polygamy was really new to her. She hadn't seen it in action in her family. So this was all very new. But Brady Williams, he had a different situation. He was 16 when they became Mormon fundamentalist. So he entered, into a leadership role in the church. He was active in their church. And so were all of his wives. They all came from the same faith and were active in the same church. They had all grown up in polygamous families. They knew they were very possibly going to have sister wives. They were used to seeing this. They had seen it in action in their own families. They could go to their moms and talk about their concerns. One of them, and I can't remember which wife it was, actually said her mom warned her she wasn't going to get much time with Brady. So I want to say it was like the 4th or 5th wife in the family. You know, her mom warned her, like, you're coming into this family when there's already other wives. These women were familiar with polygamy and what it looked like, and they had all grown up in the same faith with Brady. I think this family just understood more of what it was going to look like for them than the Brown family did. I forgot to mention this at the beginning, so I'm going to throw it in now. I figure better late than never. They both live in Utah. So they both live in Utah, and I'm sure you figured it out. They both have ties back to Mormon fundamentalism. That is where their polygamy lifestyle comes from. It is based on faith, though I will tell you, when you are watching My 5 Wives, if you've never seen the show, or you're not going to get to, because I will tell you it is on Discovery Plus. I haven't found it anywhere else, so if you don't subscribe to that service, you might not get to watch it. But the first episode of that show, they talk about their faith, and they have already left the church when the show began. So they base their lifestyle on that faith. That is where, you know, it all started. It all came from that. But they are no longer a part of that church. We cannot move on without talking about employment. There are a lot of mouths to feed between these two families, and someone has to be bringing in some money. Now, we'll tell you, both Brady and Kody have some wives that work, not all of them, but there are some women bringing in money into the families. But I want to talk about Brady and Kody. So when Sister Wives first aired in 2010, Kody said that he was in advertising sales. Brady Williams didn't actually say. Like, the show is not specific. I took notes. I didn't write down any job titles. I did write down that the recession hit his business very hard. But when I think about the recession, I think back to 2008, 2009. So I don't know if maybe the business was struggling in 2014 and hadn't really recovered from it, or, you know, what he was doing. I did find an article, though, that said he was a project manager for a relative's construction company. So I don't know. I don't know if that was 2014, the article was written at that time, or if that was what he was doing before and it wasn't doing. I don't know. They didn't give us anything specific, and maybe it was because he didn't want to. You know, maybe mentioning your employment or your employer on the show, you know, maybe that was something they worried about, him getting let go from a job. But I don't actually have an answer outside of that article I found. So those are just some details about the two men and their families. I do want to talk about the episodes themselves. I watched the first episode of Sister Wives, and as soon as it ended, I flipped right on over to the first episode of My 5 Wives, and I watched them back to back. I will tell you, when I was watching them, the first thing I noticed was that I felt like things were a little bit more authentic watching My 5 Wives. When you watch Sister Wives, they talk about issues, but it's like in the end, it all just worked out well. I feel like when you're watching My 5 Wives, you see that there are issues and everything's not perfect. And I think it's weird because I'm someone who watches like facial expressions and voices and the way people are talking about certain things. And I literally was watching My 5 Wives, and I was like, some of these women look like they want to cry all the time, or that they're very emotional. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. They are very emotional all the time. You can see that there's things about polygamy that's very difficult for them, and times they feel alone. And one of the wives talked about it. Like, there are times it's lonely. There's times that Brady can't be with us when we need him to be. And I felt like when I was watching Sister Wives, everyone's just being so happy. You know, even when they're talking about something that's not good, it's just so happy it's all going to work out. So I feel like we were getting a little bit of a different show with My 5 Wives than we were getting with Sister Wives. We were getting a little bit more of an authentic experience as far as their emotions were. Not to say we didn't end up getting that from Sister Wives. I think in the end, we've gotten, you know, we really get to see who they were. But if you just watch those episodes back to back, you're like, these are two very different families, even though they have so many things in common. Now let's fast forward a little and talk about how it all went down, what happened to the shows. As many of you know, Sister Wives is still going strong. They just wrapped up the 17th season in 2022, and they are filming season 18. But My Five Wives didn't do quite as well. It only got in 2 seasons, and it says online all of the air dates were in 2014. So the show only made it 2 seasons, 20 episodes, and they all aired in 1 year. So it didn't do quite as well. I did read an interview where Brady Williams basically said his show didn't do as well as other shows because his family all got along and there wasn't as much drama. So here is the part you all probably want to know about. How did it turn out with the wives? Well, Kody Brown had 3 wives when the show aired, and he was courting one woman. He had a girlfriend, technically. Now he has 3 ex-wives, and that girlfriend is his only wife. So technically, Kody Brown is no longer a polygamist. So his life completely unraveled. It definitely did not go the way he thought it would when the show premiered. Meanwhile, Brady Williams is still married to all 5 women. There were clearly a lot of changes with the wives. Let's find out about the kids. When Sister Wives premiered, Kody had 12 children, and he was expecting one with Christine, which would bring the total to 13. He went on to adopt Robin's 3 children, so there were 3 additional kids, and he had 2 more children with Robin. So as of today in 2023, Kody has 18 kids. Now, Brady Williams had 24 already. He went on and had 1 more child, and he now has 25 children. Both men have become grandfathers. I'm sure they're going to have plenty more grandkids, so these families are still growing. So that was what I really wanted to look at. I wanted to look at some of the details of the families and how they were similar and how they were different. But I do want to let you guys know something. I was watching them back to back, and I started wondering, what if Brady Williams and his wives, what if they survived? What if those marriages made it had they been on TLC for 17 years? What if those marriages fell apart? At first, I was like, yeah, there's no way you're going to survive that. We see that even in, monogamous marriages. You watch reality TV and marriages don't survive very well once they've been televised. But when I was watching the first episode of Sister Wives, bringing Robin into the family was such a bad decision. And forget Robin and who she is. Pretend it doesn't even matter who Robin is. Like, forget her personality. You had 3 women who had raised their kids together, that had a connection, whether or not they got along well or not. They had formed a bond, and they were able to coexist to raise their kids together and get through that together. And suddenly there was someone new. And when you're watching that first episode, you can see that Mary is so excited. And all I kept thinking was, Mary, you have no idea how this is going to turn out. But what's interesting is they're sitting and Kody is talking to the kids. And I cannot remember which kid it is. I'm sure one of you will know. One of the kids says something about, we all grew up together. We all grew up together. And he had been telling them that he was going to propose to Robin. He was courting her. And one of the kids says, we've grown up together. That's right. Like, they had grown up together, been a family together, had memories and experiences, and not just like 1 or 2 years, like a significant amount of time. And then they're all of a sudden bringing someone else in who is younger and at a different phase and wants to have more children. She just didn't fit in well with the family. She really didn't. There was going to be a divide. Brady Williams didn't have that. When you're watching My Five Wives, Brady says, I married all of my wives by the time I was 29. Those women entered that family very quickly. Like if I recall it correctly, and I could be wrong on this, but he mentioned he got married, and 8 months later, I think he was marrying his second wife. They were really all coming into this very quickly and going through life together, and he's never added anyone else. So that never happened. There was never someone coming in that was at a completely different point. I don't know if it was TLC or Robin or both that done the Browns in. I don't know. Because the whole time I kept thinking, well, what if they hadn't been on TLC, but they still brought Robin into the family? Number one, do you guys think that would have happened? I don't think Robin would be in the Brown family if it wasn't for needing to have a reason to stay on TV. Like, I don't think that, I can't imagine with their financial issues that they would have brought Robin into that family if there wasn't a show involved. What if Robin went into the family if there wasn't a show? Like, I just don't know how it would have all unfolded, but I do think, take away the TVs, I don't think they would have survived Robin entering the family. And you know what? What do you guys think about how long it would have lasted if they weren't on TV? Let's say Robin married Kody and there was no show involved. What if Christine stayed as long as she did? Do you guys think Christine would have stayed? I think there might have been some pressure there to stay in this family, to keep it together on TV, to keep it together for the show. Look at Mary and Kody. Kody didn't want her to tell everyone that it was over, so she didn't. You know, how did that really benefit them outside of being on the show? So I wonder how soon it would have ended. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. There's just a lot to think about there. If you can, I recommend watching them back to back. You're going to see two different families who are living out polygamy very differently. Another thing I noticed, Brady Williams is a lot more affectionate. You know, he is affectionate with his wives, and they talk about it, how it can be a little awkward, how there can be a bit of jealousy, but that's just a part of it. If you guys remember, you know, the rule with Janelle, Mary, and Christine was there was no affection. They didn't want to watch it. So they're just living out polygamy very differently. And I don't know, like I mentioned it earlier, these women had all grown up in polygamous families. So maybe they were just more comfortable seeing it and knew that it was all a part of it than, you know, Kody's wives were. They weren't comfortable with, well, I don't know, Mary and Christine had grown up as polygamists. I don't know. I don't know if Kody and the wives were ever going to work out, the first three wives. Maybe it was just the whole time, it was just slowly leading to a divorce. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the show made a difference? What if they lasted without the show? What if Robin married Kody without the show? What do you guys think? And if you've watched My 5 Wives, let me know what you guys think about that show. I'm going to do a rewatch and commentary here, so if you're interested, go ahead and click like and subscribe. And I hope you guys come back to Happily Ever Reality to talk more about your favorite reality TV shows.